Hi everyone, this is your IRB instruction video. For some reason, the way this document is set up that it does not allow for any comments. Hence, we are actually going to be, I made a video about this so that you have all of those things. So the first thing is you have to select one of these. If you have minors involved in your research, it will be full board. Mostly it will be between exempt and expedited because you are talking about adults. So if there's only adults, then it would be exempt, but it would also be if expedited if it is like college students and things like that. So mostly in 95% of your cases, you are going to have exempt. So here would your submission date go. Let me use annotation so that you guys can see that better. So this is where the submission goes. Here for you are the principal investigator. So you're going to put your name, email, affiliation, phone number, all of those. Click on graduate student. Your training certificate is your CITI training certificate. So at the end, you have to attach your training certificate. You can attach a picture or you can upload it, and we will talk about all of those things. So basically you are the principal investigator here. So let's go down to looking at the project title. So you have your project title. Your project type is actually going to be research. It's going to be other MSU based. So this is where you are going to click other MSU based, and you are going to put your course number. It's taking me EDUC 6753. And then here you are going to put my name. So this is what you are going to do for your project title. Let's move forward. So here is where you have whether you are having funding or no funding. Most often it is going to be there will be no funding, because if it is a yes, then there is something different that we have to do, and we will talk about it. Your summary of the purpose, rationale, research question would all go here. You already have that from your research document. What are your participation who are your participants? This is where you would put those. Estimated how many, mostly it will be adults. Estimated range, both, and other information, you can just leave it like that. Inclusion or exclusion criteria. Here you are going to put is there is no exclusion or inclusion criteria. Let's suppose you are talking about reading intervention with reading teachers. All reading teachers from grade this to this are included. So this is where this part will go in. How are your participants recruited or solicited? This is really important one. You are actually going to talk about, again, most of it is going to be through a Google survey that you're going to send out through a Google form. So you're going to say all the participants are going to be sent a Google form that would have the consent form and then the questions and all of those things. So this is where it goes, is how are the participants recruited and solicited. If you're doing a Google form, you're going to attach the whole Google form. If you're doing a survey, the survey has to be attached. All of those documentation are going to be attached with it. Your consent form has to be, so if you're doing this research in your school setting, whether you're doing in your workplace or anything, you have to have a consent from the either the principal or the chief officer or supervisor or something. So it could simply be an email. However, that all documents would have to be attached to this IRB. The nature of compensation given to the participant would basically be no compensation. Again, starting of the project would be March 2022. Ending of the project, I would strongly recommend to make this to be June 2022. Specify where and how the data will be stored. This is a very simple thing to put in. You basically are putting the data will be stored in a secured place If you're storing it on the computer, you're going to password protected computer for 3 years. If you're storing in a file, you're going to say it will be stored in a cupboard which is locked and only accessible to the principal investigator. All of those things are going to be included in how the data is stored. Again, summary of your research procedures and everything is right over here. You have your summary of the research procedure. How are you going to ensure confidentiality and anonymity? This is extremely important. So as we are working through, we are going to talk about how you're going to ensure the confidentiality by having no names on the survey you sent out, no IP addresses will be collected, randomly participants will be chosen, or an email will be sent to everybody on the email list. When the data is collected, aggregate data is reported, and all of those things. Will there be any sensitive or personal issues? No. Will they be asked to interact that may be considered offensive? No. Will the study involve deception? No. Risk will be less than minimal. So again, here there is less than minimal risk. This is something just a survey, or if you're meeting with students, it would be just a student met in an open environment, and all of those things. All of this stuff is going to be attached. If you have your written consent, that is going to be attached. Verbal consent is not going to work. Consent of, if it's an implied consent, we'll talk about those, the implied consent and written consent. But formal written consent from the principal, supervisor, or chief person, your informed consent for the participants, all of that stuff is going to be attached. And you are going to have your signature here, and we're going to upload it because I have to get the signature from the department chair, and then I am going to forward it to the IRB. So all of those things have to be in there for your IRB.